The sun had barely risen over Jerusalem when Pontius Pilate felt the first pangs of unease. Standing on the balcony of his opulent quarters, he gazed at the city below, its narrow streets already bustling with life. But today, something was different. The air crackled with tension, like the calm before a storm. Pilate's aide, Marcus, appeared at his side. "Governor, the high priest Caiaphas requests an urgent meeting." Pilate sighed, his grip tightening on the balcony rail. What now? More complaints about taxes? Or perhaps another prophet stirring up trouble? Marcus hesitated. "It's different this time, sir. They speak of a man named Jesus. They say he claims to be the Son of God." Pilate's eyebrows shot up. "Son of God? That's a new one." He chuckled, but the laughter didn't reach his eyes. Something about this situation felt off. As Pilate prepared for the meeting, his mind wandered to a dream he'd had the night before. In it, he'd seen a man with eyes that seemed to pierce through the veil of reality itself. The man had smiled at Pilate, not with mockery, but with a knowing compassion that left the governor feeling both unsettled and strangely comforted. Shaking off the memory, Pilate straightened his robes and headed to the meeting hall. Little did he know, he was about to face a dilemma that would echo through the ages, challenging not just his political acumen, but the very nature of reality as he understood it. As he walked, a whisper seemed to float on the breeze. "Nothing is as it seems, Pilate. The truth lies beyond the veil." Pilate shivered, despite the warm morning sun. Something told him that this day would change everything. As Pilate entered the praetorium, the air grew thick with anticipation. The prisoners stood before him, a stark contrast to the opulence of the Roman hall. Jesus of Nazareth, they called him. His simple robes and unassuming demeanor belied the storm of controversy surrounding him. "Are you the king of the Jews?" Pilate asked, his voice echoing in the cavernous room. Jesus met his gaze, and Pilate felt a jolt of recognition. Those eyes, they were the same ones from his dream. "You say that I am," Jesus replied, his voice calm yet filled with an authority Pilate couldn't quite place. As the questioning continued, Pilate found himself increasingly perplexed. This was no ordinary trial, no ordinary man. The accusations from the Jewish leaders seemed petty, fueled by jealousy rather than justice. Yet Jesus remained serene, as if privy to a cosmic joke no one else understood. In a moment of frustration, Pilate exclaimed, "What is truth?" To his surprise, Jesus smiled. "The truth, Pontius Pilate, is not what your eyes see or your ears hear. It lies beyond the veil of this world." Pilate blinked, startled by the echo of the whisper he'd heard earlier. He turned away, unsettled, only to see his wife, Claudia, urgently gesturing from a shadowed alcove. "Husband," she whispered, her face pale, "I've had a dream about this man. He is innocent. More than that, he is not of this world. Tread carefully, for today you judge not just a man, but your own soul." Pilate's mind reeled. The prisoner's words, his wife's dream, the strange sensations he'd been experiencing, it all pointed to something beyond his understanding. As he turned back to face Jesus, the world seemed to shimmer, as if reality itself was but a thin veil, ready to be torn apart. Little did Pilate know, his next decision would ripple through time, challenging not just history, but the very nature of existence itself. The crowd outside the praetorium swelled, their angry voices rising like a tide. Pilate stood at the balcony, Jesus beside him. The prisoners come a stark contrast to the chaos below. "I find no basis for a charge against this man," Pilate announced, his voice carrying over the throng. But the crowd, spurred on by the religious leaders, wouldn't have it. "Crucify him," they chanted, the words pounding against Pilate's temples like a hammer. As Pilate wrestled with his decision, the world around him began to shift. The edges of reality blurred, and for a moment, he saw beyond the veil. The crowd below transformed into shadowy figures, puppet-like entities controlled by unseen forces. The religious leaders morphed into grotesque creatures, their true natures revealed. Pilate blinked, and the vision vanished. But the unease remained. He turned to Jesus, whispering, "Who are you really?" Jesus smiled, a knowing look in his eyes. "I am not of this world, Pilate. Neither are you. We are all players in a grand cosmic drama, but few remember their true roles." The words resonated deep within Pilate's soul, awakening something long forgotten. Memories of other lives, other realities, flashed through his mind. He saw himself and Jesus in different guises, playing out this scene across countless dimensions. What does this mean?" Pilate stammered, his worldview crumbling around him. "It means, Pontius Pilate, that your choice today is more than just a political decision. It's a pivotal moment in the awakening of consciousness. The veil between worlds is thin, and your actions will ripple across realities." As if to emphasize Jesus' words, the sky darkened ominously. The crowd below fell silent, a palpable tension filling the air. Pilate felt the weight of countless unseen eyes upon him, waiting to see what he would do. In that moment, Pilate realized that his dilemma was far greater than he had ever imagined. He wasn't just deciding the fate of a man, he was participating in a cosmic event that would echo through eternity. With trembling hands, he reached for the bowl of water, ready to make a decision that would change everything. The bowl of water trembled in Pilate's hands as he faced the crowd, their faces a blur of anger and anticipation. But as he prepared to wash his hands of this decision, time seemed to slow to a crawl. The water in the bowl began to swirl, forming a miniature whirlpool that reflected not the angry mob, but a tapestry of realities. In that moment, Pilate saw the consequences of his choice rippling across dimensions. In one reality, he saw himself condemning Jesus, leading to centuries of religious conflict and spiritual darkness. In another, he saw himself defying Rome to save Jesus, sparking a revolution that changed the course of history. But there was a third path, one that glimmered with a light unlike any other. It was the path of awakening, of seeing beyond the illusion of the material world. "You see now, don't you?" Jesus' voice came from everywhere and nowhere. "This moment is a catalyst for humanity's spiritual evolution. Your choice is not about my life or death, but about humanity's readiness to see beyond the veil." Pilate's eyes widened as he realized the true nature of his dilemma. It wasn't about Roman law or Jewish custom. It was about the very fabric of reality itself. With a sudden clarity, Pilate understood what he had to do. He turned to the crowd, his voice ringing out with newfound authority. "People of Jerusalem," he began, his words carrying a power that silenced the mob, "what we face today is not a matter of earthly judgment, but a test of our collective soul." As he spoke, the air around him shimmered, the veil between worlds growing ever thinner. Some in the crowd gasped, seeing for the first time the true nature of reality flickering at the edges of their vision. This man, Jesus, is not just a prisoner. He is a mirror, reflecting our own divine nature back to us. In judging him, we judge ourselves. In condemning him, we condemn our own potential for enlightenment. The religious leaders snarled, their true forms briefly visible, dark entities feeding on fear and ignorance. But many in the crowd began to murmur, a new light of understanding dawning in their eyes. Pilate knew his next words would change everything. The cosmos held its breath, waiting for the choice that would echo across eternity. As Pilate's words echoed across the courtyard, a profound silence fell over the crowd. The air crackled with energy, the veil between worlds now gossamer thin. Jesus stood radiant, his form shifting between human and something far beyond mortal comprehension. Suddenly, a laugh rang out, clear, joyous, and utterly unexpected. It was Jesus, his eyes twinkling with cosmic mirth. "Well done, Pontius Pilate," he said, his voice resonating on multiple planes of existence. "You've seen through the illusion." The crowd gasped as Jesus' physical form began to dissolve, revealing a being of pure light. This crucifixion, he announced, was never about death, but about awakening. The cross is not an instrument of torture, but a symbol of the intersection between the physical and the divine. As if on cue, the sky split open, revealing glimpses of other realities, other dimensions. The people of Jerusalem found themselves witnessing the grand cosmic drama playing out across the multiverse. Pilate, now fully awakened to his role, stepped forward. "People of earth, of all realities," he proclaimed, his voice carrying the weight of newfound gnosis, "we stand at a crossroads of consciousness. The choice before us is not one of life or death, but of sleep or awakening." The religious leaders, their true forms now fully visible as agents of ignorance, began to wail and dissolve. The crowd, initially terrified, began to transform as well, their eyes opening to the greater reality around them. Jesus, now a being of pure energy, addressed the multitude. "The kingdom of heaven is not a place, but a state of being. It is here, now, within each of you. The veil has been lifted. What will you do with this knowledge?" As the words faded, reality itself seemed to reset. Pilate found himself back at the moment of decision, the bowl of water in his hands. But now his eyes were open. He saw the crowd not as an angry mob, but as fellow divine beings playing their parts in the cosmic dance. With a smile, he set the bowl aside. "There will be no judgment today," he declared. "Only an invitation to awaken." The story of Pilate and Jesus spread like wildfire, not as a tale of crucifixion, but as a parable of cosmic awakening. Across time and space, it served as a catalyst for those ready to see beyond the veil, to recognize their own divine nature. And somewhere, in the grand tapestry of existence, Pilate and Jesus shared a knowing smile, their eternal dance of awakening continuing across infinite realities.